keeps coming back for more.
What do we want to do? What area of football are we not getting the details enough in yet?
More hits.
It's just not going to be the same 5 or 6 can tackles per situation.
More depth.
The mini games are actually working as a rehab facility as well.
More nail-biting action.
So if it's a 10 situation, fourth quarter, you're trying to drive for the win, you'll throw up the pass. The crowd will gasp.
It's football the Madden way. And when EA Sports set out to make the greatest football game ever,
some of our features this year will make it so that you're playing more as a football character than ever before, and I think that's going to be a valuable addition to really immersing people in the product.
The end result is a touchdown. This is the making of Madden 07 for the PlayStation 3.
Hi everyone, welcome to John Madden Football.
It seems like Madden Football has been around forever, but it was actually released on the Apple IIe in 1989.
I'm sure you guys have heard this story before. Long before I was working here, when they first started Madden, it was my understanding that they actually pitched a 7-on-7 game to John Madden. And John said, you're doing 11-on-11. That's what football is. And that's how John Madden got his start.
In 1990, Madden emerged on the 16-bit Sega Genesis. It was the first appearance of Madden on a home console, and gamers ate it up.
It was great for me. You know, I would play it with my friends. It was one of the only games that I could actually sit down with my friends and just play it, and we can go head-to-head.
1994 marked a vast improvement for Madden Football with the addition of a 3D camera, original music, and more gameplay options.
I remember when we first started, we always wanted the game to look like it does on television.
In 1997, EA's Orlando-based studio, EA Tiburon, took over development of Madden Football.
And it's good.
In 2000, Sony introduced the PlayStation 2. And EA took advantage of the new technology, delivering a game with real player faces and individual crowd members.
Well, I think the history of Madden is it started out as an idea to have a pro football game where people could play pro football themselves as a video game, and I think where it's grown to is one of the most realistic and fun football simulations that you'll ever play.
In May 2006, during E3, Sony announces it will launch the PlayStation 3 in North America on November 17th, and the creative minds at EA Tiburon faced the daunting task in releasing Madden 07 for the launch of the PS3.
This year, I think we're excited about the opportunity to bring Madden to the PS3 for the first time ever. It will be the first football game on the PS3. We've got some of the brightest, smartest, most passionate people in the industry on this team, and I'm just excited for what we can pull together.
Yeah, it's amazing having to top ourselves every year.
Touchdown!
What we do is our biggest competition the next year, and new hardware like this just gives us a lot of new ways to do things.
But there's plenty to consider before the team sets out to create another Madden classic.
Pre-production for gameplay takes place actually as we're finaling the current version. We're already in emails and brainstorm meetings. We're always having conversations.
Different ideas, things that carried over from last year that may not have been able to get in, new ideas, total pie in the sky.
What do we want to do? What area of football are we not getting the details enough in yet? And that's where it starts.
But they don't just listen to each other.
We get a lot of consumer feedback. We listen to what people are saying they love about the game, what they'd like to see us fix, what they'd like to see us add.
We talk to a lot of coaches throughout the year to get a lot of strategy and insight into the game of football. We also talk to players to get their take on it. So learning how the coach coaches them is one way to learn how to better make the game. We also spend time on conference calls with John Madden learning what he thinks about players and strategies that are going on in the league this year.
Technological advancements at their Vancouver studio allow EA Tiburon to take motion capturing farther than ever before.
This last year, what we did is we actually got a bunch of different talent in. Small, fast, agile backs to bigger bruising backs and running backs in between. And we captured them with different defenders doing all the different broken tackles and tackles that you're actually going to see in game.
But EA Sports doesn't just capture the players' physiques.
We actually scan the actual players' heads. That gives us a very high-res quality of geometry, textures. We're allowed to do more fine-tuning lip sync, things that'll really add a lot of life.
We've also experimented with full body and facial capture, where we could have a coach capture his entire move, finger articulation,
his facial animation, all of that stuff captured at one time that you see the movies are doing a lot of now. We can actually do that and capture secondary characters that way.
But will this hard work pay off when EA Sports goes head-to-head with next-gen technology? After prepping to bring Madden 07 to life, the EA Sports team now faced unparalleled hurdles in the technology of the PlayStation 3.
The biggest challenges with the new system were having to figure out what we didn't know first. You know, we have a new processor, we have a new graphical processor, we have new tools.
Most of us had read some of the white papers from IBM and from Sony that talked about the new cell architecture and about the RSX graphics chip. So we were anxious to see what it could do, and you never really know how something's going to come together until you actually start getting it running.
That takes an increase in manpower, resources, and time.
From a project management point of view, that brings its own challenges in terms of how do you coordinate a much greater mass of people across a much longer period of time.
But one of the challenges of the PS3 was completely unexpected.
Throughout the year, different things come up and we have to be able to adjust for that. Some of the things this year have been the PS3 motion controller. We learned about that around E3.
Everyone on the floor is rushing to get a feel, make sure that it's going to have the same buttons that we knew before, and make sure we're not going to have to redesign our game around it.
But the controller modifications only sought to enhance the gaming experience.
Well, the controller that they released at E3, or they showed for the first time, is going to be something that's going to be very interesting. You know, we're definitely going to take advantage of that in Madden PS3. We'll use the sticks, but we'll also use the fact that you can move the controller around to change how things happen on the field.
And we always have to be flexible enough to get that stuff in there because it's important to take advantage of everything we learn about on the console.
Adversity soon gave way to excitement.
We're learning new things about the hardware every day and able to stretch the boundaries of what we were able to do on Madden in the past. It's going to be incredible.
And an incredible Madden game has incredible visuals.
I wanted to make sure our visuals were tied to gameplay. They needed to enhance gameplay in ways which the user would not expect, but would completely appreciate.
They started with the character models.
The way the faces have changed, in that they're not only 3 times the more polygons than they were for PS2, but we also have a new technology where we can combine blend shapes and joints. For example, you can use the joints to rotate the jaw, but then you can use up to 40 blend shapes to move the eyebrows, the nostrils, the lips.
We're doing real-time or dynamic hair this year, so you'll see it in our dreads and players with long hair. So you want to play with somebody like Al Harris, you'll see those dreads hanging off the back of his helmet and kind of flying around as he's moving.
The players won't just look real.
With players looking a lot more realistic this year, they also have to move realistic as well. So we're adding what we call muscle rigs, where actually when an arm moves, you can see the muscles flexing.
And when it comes to stadium environments, EA Tiburon continues to push the envelope.
We shoot everything. We shoot the edge walls, the tunnels, the press boxes, the luxury boxes, the roof structures, the lighting structures.
Details like, railings, seats. You could literally go into any one of our stadiums now, and if you're a season ticket holder or you recognize a stadium, you can actually go over to that seat and see, wow, this is exactly what the game looks like when I sit in that seat.
Any changes, any updates to any stadiums that they do, we do.
New occlusion mapping allows for more contrast to the stadiums.
We can actually pull assets in and out of each other, and it looks like this area, the tunnels may have more shadow in them, but then there's pools of light spilling in the back, versus the crowd sitting in those seats. They look like 3D objects and not just a bunch of 2D sprites.
And everyone will be cheering when their teams take the field on the PS3.
I think everyone's going to want to watch that this year, and it's going to get you pumped up to play the game.
There's smoke that comes up and all the particles interact, and as the players run through it or they get pumped up, you see little smoke swirls and the big, huge fireworks, the little sprays, all that kind of stuff that you expect to see at a real NFL Films game.
You need to know that the smoke isn't just one entity. It is a whole orchestrated sequence of thousands of little individual particles that diffuse over time, and they can actually react to the environment.
And there are a lot of challenges with those particles. To make them that believable and that real, we really had to focus on, what the power was of that device, the PS3, the cell processors, the GPUs, and put it together and really make it the full experience we intended.
But there's one thing the minds at EA Sports agree will make the competition turn green.
The 3D grass.
3D grass.
We actually have a representation of 3D grass. It's one of the things that we've always wanted to see. We've always wanted to see the player's foot, the player's cleat hit the ground, hit the surface area, and see actual blade detail. In next gen, you will finally see that.
If you take a minute to think about it, or if you just let it kind of hit you subconsciously, it significantly adds to the overall believability of the game.
It's almost frightening. It gets to the point now where you're not sure where the reality line is between what's real and what's fake. I mean, it blurs so close to the real thing. It's pretty impressive.
Now that the mind-blowing visuals have been established, EA Sports must devise the next generation of mind-blowing gameplay. Having raised the visual bar using the power of the PS3, EA Tiburon now sets out to create a game experience to match. And to score with fans, they'll attempt every play in the book.
Some of our features this year will make it so that you're playing more as a football character than ever before, and I think that's going to be a valuable addition to really immersing people in the product.
For instance, the new 3D grass that we have this year is really cool, A, because it's 3D and not just carpet that the guys walk on. B, it tears up.
The degradation on current gen is kind of like this map of the entire field that just kind of blends in over the course of the game. The degradation on the next gen hardware is driven by the players. If one team is dominating another, you will end up with very specific degradation on one end of the field.
When it rains, you'll see the water start to collect. It goes all in the parts of the jersey and it gets dirty, and it really brings more real-life quality to the game.
Head and eye tracking will also lend to more lifelike offensive and defensive play on the field.
And what head and eye tracking is a line of sight system that actually forces the player on the field to actually see what's in front of him in order to react to it.
When you're a quarterback and you drop back, it looks at its primary receiver first. So it always looks at number one, and then it works through its progressions.
As the ball carrier is running down the field, he's picking up the closest threat so that you can see him actually see the linebacker coming at him.
A player will actually have to see the ball to react to it. He'll actually have to see a defender in order to put a move on him. He'll have to see a ball carrier in order to tackle him.
And with improved physics-based animations, the players will get pummeled like never before.
We've added a physics-based solution. So if you have a quarterback who's dropped back or a running back who's breaking down the sideline, or you have a receiver who's cutting across the middle, once that collision happens, you'll get a unique response that you won't see in too many other occasions.
It's just not going to be the same 5 or 6 can tackle for a situation.
And EA Sports just keeps piling it on.
2 guys wrap up. You know, they're starting to go to the ground, another guy can actually dive on and affect that and push him backwards or forwards or whatever the case may be. We've never been able to get to that level of detail.
The development team is also making major advances in the running game.
What we wanted to do with the running game this year is really, first off, give control back to the user, and then take it to another level, which is having animations define who the running backs are. So you'll see different running back styles, from Tiki Barber keeping the ball up high while he's running to protect it, to someone like Reggie Bush coming in.
This year is a real difference that I could actually put in a big guy on 3rd down and short and really feel like I can grind those yards out.
It's not just about how they run with the ball, but what happens when they interact with the defense. So your smaller backs, like Warwick Dunn, he's not going to plow anybody over anymore. He's actually going to duck out of the way of the defenders.
Also defense, they need styles too. You don't want every linebacker and defensive back to run exactly the same. And we're actually recaptured hundreds and thousands of moves this year to really fill out that set to make it feel like a totally new game.
And where there's running, there's blocking.
One of the most exciting things to me personally is lead blocking, the way you can take any of the interior linemen or a fullback and you can run with that player and actually lead block for your running back and set up real nice key blocks to kind of spur your running back.
Lead blocking is going to be fun. If you can stick it to the guy and then run around the outside, that's going to be huge. So there's going to be a lot of fun, I think, that we had this year in Madden.
Madden 07 on the PS3 becomes more immersive off the field.
So something that's exclusive to Next Gen for us this year is going to be minicamp, where you have the ability to create a player, bring him into minicamp, and have him work out so that you can get strength attributes.
You don't just jump in and slide the sliders over and make the guy perfect. You have to go in and earn it this year, so we're excited about that.
The mini games are actually working as a rehab facility as well.
So if a player gets injured, rather than the player just come back on the field after 7 weeks, you have a chance to go in there and actually impact how quickly he comes back by going through and taking him through drills.
Now the EA Tiburon has plunged their fans deep into the Madden 07 gameplay. They must raise the roof with their audio presentation. EA Tiburon is determined to create an exhilarating audio experience with the power of the PlayStation 3. To do so, they will use every resource available.
With this new technology, we're doing things that we never thought we could. If you look at the PS2 from where we are today, it's almost night and day.
Madden sounds more realistic than ever through a license with NFL Films.
One of the biggest advantages the NFL license has given us is they do tons for reference, let alone giving their library to NFL films has made a clear-cut difference this generation. You take Hasselbeck, you take Brady, you take Peyton Manning at the line, call an audible, you actually hear him call the audible. Half. I've never heard that in a football game, and it was a great idea. We finally got to implement it.
And Madden 07 tantalizes the eardrums in 5.1 surround sound.
When you have a surround sound system, I mean, you're hearing it from every direction.
What we do is we actually sample these things in quads, so when we pan around, it's not just one sound spinning around your head, it's a set of 4 sounds in 3D positional space, and the PS3 is able to handle that no problem, pumping it out, just like a movie experience.
We have positional audio, wherever direction people are coming from. You'll hear their footsteps, you'll hear their breathing. It makes it for an intense experience.
And with Madden 07, it's the little things that matter.
So we try to get really detailed in the sound.
When you hit somebody, it's not just the same impact. It's not like the traditional, hit.
Bodies colliding, different equipment hitting each other makes different sounds.
You also have this big environment sound. So if it's raining, you'll hear basically 3D rain. You'll hear different rain as you run through it than, if you're just kind of standing there waiting to throw the ball. You'll actually hear real footsteps as they hit different kinds of media, so it actually sounds different and it feels different.
And EA Sports wants you to feel right at home.
We try a different approach for commentary. We have your local hometown announcer. So what that does is gives us a new element.
Just trucked him!
When you're trying to drive down and win the game, throwing a long pass, he's going to get so excited. When they burn you, he's not so much excited.
Brought down behind the line!
He's pretty much blaming the refs or blaming whatever. So he's more of a hometown announcer, and that's kind of a cool dynamic we have.
To complement the cool sounds of the gridiron, EA Sports selects some of the hottest music.
All right, cut. It's enough.
No, seriously.
The process of selecting music, I think we take very seriously because we know how much effect it has on, the general consumer and the Madden fans. And we like to get a big variety because we have a huge fan base of different likes. So we try to get something that will fit for everybody, try to break some new artists.
An LA connection to all the major labels allows EA Sports to preview future chart toppers as part of the Madden soundtrack.
It's just amazing, like some of the songs that'll come on Madden, you'll hear them there first, and before you know it, the song's a huge hit. And I'm not saying that Madden does that for the song, but it's definitely great exposure, especially when you think about the demographic that Madden hits.
You get the little preview before it becomes popular, like when we had Green Day, American Idiot.
The soundtrack on Madden 07 won't be any different.
Lupe Fiasco's got a really good song on there. Bishop Lamont has a really hot song on the track this year that I'm excited about. The importance with EA Tracks for us this year is that it continues to up the quality and the expectation of the Madden game not being just another video game that comes out.
But you won't just hear rock and roll.
We have some of the NFL film songs, so anyone who's watched the NFL growing up and they watch ESPN and they see those NFL highlights, hear that classic NFL films music. Well, we were able to take that as well last year and this year also and get that put in the game. We did some remixes with it also.
With cutting-edge visuals, authentic gameplay, and dynamic sound, the stadium is more alive than ever. Even the virtual crowd can feel the excitement in the air.
So another cool thing that we added this year is what we're calling the big play experience.
So if it's a tense situation, fourth quarter, you're trying to drive for the win, you'll throw up the pass, the crowd gasp, and then just this overwhelming reaction from the crowd if it's positive or negative.
We not only have a representation of 60,000 fans, but we have 60,000 animating fans. And the animations that they do are event-driven.
So it almost feels like you're now more important than just a player. All these people are depending on you to make it.
If there's one lesson history teaches, it's that Madden is here to stay.
There were always going to be little things that draw you out of the game, that take you out of that experience, and I think that those are just getting fewer and fewer all the time. So you stay immersed in the game, and you feel like you're part of the game more, and you just get completely involved in it because of the realism and how immersive it is.
As the November 2006 release for Madden on the PS3 approaches, the EA Sports team reflects upon their work to craft the best product possible.
We've got an all-star team on this Madden PS3 team. It has been quite a wonderful thing to watch these guys come together and form something where the sum is greater than the parts.
I think the work is definitely going to be worth it. We're going to have a really cool, amazing looking, amazing playing game on our hands.
I look forward to finally seeing this thing on shelves, playing my PS3.
Madden's a forerunner. always going to be the winner. No one will catch us.
PS3 has so much potential that I believe in the next few years people won't even believe what they see is actually rendered in real time.
There's nowhere Madden can't go.